Good afternoon. Actually, good morning. Special time today. Caught me off guard. Welcome to In Conversation with Andrew Maguire. If you've smelled the Paco Rabanne cologne in the fresh mountain air, that means yes. You know, as Fred nailed it, I got the cologne thing going on over here. Andrew's out in that fresh mountain air, bringing us a little vibrancy this morning.
We need some
We
outdoor
need
cologne.
we need outdoor cologne. It's like the old the ones in the cage at like CVS, the Stetson. Like looks
Exactly.
like it smells like fresh mountain air, and then you crack the bottle open. You're like, oh, that's what $6 cologne smells like. Wonderful.
This is what I bought. Right.
This is what you signed
Absolutely.
up
Good
for
morning.
today, Andrew. Good morning. It's
Game
even
on. Let's
earlier.
jam.
This is it, man. Sometimes we
Not
have a
too
little too
bad.
much fun in the green room, and this is where it takes us. It's like it gets off to a wild start. So now I wanna welcome you and thank you for coming on. We
Oh,
met
thank
through
you.
Aaron Anderson. No, huge pleasure to have you
Legend.
on. Legend.
Yes.
Legend.
Yes.
We'll just pause on him for a moment to honor him because he is a
Yeah.
legend, and
Indeed.
I'll say this: he before I even looked at your work,
Mhm.
the recommendation coming from Aaron Anderson is pretty much stop. Like you get the stamp. The stamp of approval is already on. So
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. No, his work's amazing. We've been internet friends, commenting, messaging each other for the last couple of years, and finally I actually got to connect this year. So yeah, extremely thankful for him for connecting us and just continuing to evolve our industry and connect good people. So yeah, stoked to chat with you. And I owe Aaron a beer.
yeah, I'll double down on that beer. And he's one of the few people that he's internet cool, but he's also cool in real life. It's actually
Oh
cooler
yeah.
in real life than he is online, which some people it's easy to hold up the facade behind Instagram, but then you meet him in your real life and you're like, all right, how long do I have to wait before I unfollow this person? But
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. There's no facade there. He's a good quality dude. And yeah, I think we met up and we were like, oh, we'll grab a beer, speak for half an hour. And yeah, 2 or 3 hours later, there we were. So fast friends. So yeah,
that's
check out his
awesome.
work. He's a true talent and just a good person. So
Definitely, definitely.
absolutely.
It's a testament to how easy it is now to be connected. Of course, you're a commercial photographer. We'll get into the whole commercial
Yeah.
photography thing, but just connecting in general. I mean, I feel like networking and being able to build out your network, it's more it's more important now than ever because there's so much there's content everywhere. There's saturation in every
Yeah.
market. So I kind of want to go back to what got you into photography. Was this something that were were you the kid that was like, my dad put a camera in my hand at 6, and ever since then, or was it kind of something you just fell into?
Yeah, I mean, not so much. I mean, photography was something in my life. I mean, I think, growing up, being born, a child of the 80s, that was still an era of film. We had the point and shoot, and then, you had parents who were more avid photographers who had like DSLR and, went to Costco and bought their camera. So like, yeah, film and cameras were always in my life, but I think my first kind of avenue into that was skateboarding. I was like I said, basically an 80s, 90s kid and growing up and skateboarding was my jam with my friends. And I think quickly I found that my talents were not to be a professional skateboarder. So I was kind of a designated filmer, filming my friends doing the things that I was not brave enough to go and handle. And yeah, I know I just found a love behind it and was just so intrigued by prints, the magazines. That was such a kind of our Bible, visual Bible of just like what was cool, skateboarding, music. Because that was the only way we were fed, media outside of, television, obviously. But, like I think TV in that time period was MTV and VH1. It was just a different time. So like I think for counterculture and like skateboarding and music, that was definitely the avenue through magazines like Thrasher or Skateboarder. Um, so that was yeah, that definitely kind of got me into it. Had really crappy VHS cameras with like screw-on fisheye lenses and just chasing our friends around and making a lot of mistakes and figuring out what worked and what didn't. I think that was just part of the joy that kind of continued to fire in me and led me into like some black and white photography through high school and darkroom. I was definitely kind of just that kid that was in there, between classes and after school, just developing film and using enlargers and all that stuff. And it was just super fun and intriguing. I think that was like really sparked the magic of photography and just I guess is continuing to drive my passion for the industry and the art form today. So um, yeah, then I guess, I think beyond high school, I kind of took a very traditional approach. Went to art school, I got a BFA in photography, and then from there, throughout college, I was got into photo assisting. I grew up in Michigan, so I was kind of between Detroit, West Michigan, and then Chicago. Working for a bunch of out-of-state photographers that would come into town, or working for local photographers, kind of in the Midwest. So that was really how I cut my teeth, just working my way up from setting up C stands to grabbing coffee to being a studio manager, then a second shooter for those few photographers, and that process kind of just led me into like finally finding an avenue where I could kind of break off and find photography, and kind of define a niche within the industry that was I was passionate about, and really kind of drove me to continue, I guess, pushing the art form for myself. And at that time, because I was super lucky to grow up in the Midwest. We had so many large scale companies that were around for anything from automobiles to contract furniture. We were doing shoots for Herman Miller, Steelcase, and then I was also fortunate to be in the same town as Wolverine Worldwide, that was a big footwear conglomerate that has companies like Saucony, Merrill, Chaco, Hush Puppies. So it was like we had all this, like that was kind of my next phase of like I went from doing all these studio shoots, lighting. We had like 20 head kits that we go and light for 3 days straight and then shoot for a day. So like technically, oh, lost light there.
All good.
Technically, like that was my kind of grad school intro into everything, and kind of really found that the studio atmosphere wasn't my jam. I was just like kind of like really
Was it just
uh,
stagnant or
I don't know. I think the ADD in me.
you
Sitting
couldn't
in the
have walls?
yeah, yeah. I was just, like technically it was awesome. Like I could learned all that stuff, those technical skills. But I think at the end of the day, it was just being engulfed and like kind of trapped in a building was a little tough for me. Now, like I just always felt that need, like what's next? Like what else is out there? And I think a lot of my personal passions and extracurricular activities were like really outside of that spectrum. So I think I was just looking for that way to like marry the two things, and um, just find passion between all parts of my life. So, um, yeah, from there, I just started making personal work. That was, I think, because I definitely hit that wall of like, man, do I really want to continue doing this? Is this what the next 20, 30 years of my career look like? And I think just like in order to stay engulfed and interested, it's like I needed to go make that personal work that was like true to myself, and that excited me. And so for that, it was adventure athletes, extreme sports. So I was still in Michigan at that point. Finding local trail runners. We had a big circuit of uh, lake surfing there. So these crazy guys that we'd go out in the middle of the winter when we actually got wind waves on Lake Michigan, and we'd be in these 6'5" wetsuits. It's 20 degrees out and just surfing there, and just like trying to create storytelling around those aspects. And from there, I was able to build like a very like introductory like outdoor portfolio that I was able to shop to some of those local brands that were in Michigan, that were creating some of this outdoor footwear. So I was able to make some contacts through that and just kind of like take it and run. And I think I really found a niche in the outdoor adventure and lifestyle spectrum that kind of was really the stepping stones for me to like be where I am today, as a photographer and director. So um, long story short, that's kind of my elevator pitch. And from there, a lot of my work was more travel, and that kind of pushed me beyond Michigan. So I made the jump to Colorado just to be more within the industry, closer to some of the things that I was passionate about, mountains, athletes, that kind of stuff. And so I've just kind of found this community here. I'm based in Breckenridge, Colorado, so about 2 hours outside of Denver, and just have a little mountain community here where we have 24-hour access to some of the biggest mountains in the US, and just a handful, a community of athletes and other people that are passionate about the outdoors and just the lifestyle and exploration that I guess was really driving me when I wasn't on a photo shoot. It was just like I found these stories of athletes and other people that were just out there trying to push themselves, and push the community as a whole, and whether that was, activism around the outdoors or, just the climate crisis and all that. So it became more of a thing that I was able to attach my art and my passions. And I think that's really what kept me involved and engulfed in the industry, and just like not I guess I have not hit that point of burnout. So I think
Dude,
that's
you're like
crucial. And
you're like the poster child for, hey, have a dream, follow a linear path. A lot of us are over here like, yeah, I went and worked in car insurance, and then I worked at a restaurant, and then I was a barista, and then someone
yeah,
gave me an old camera, and so it's like it sounds like from the days, you took me back to the 90s with the Thrasher and MTV, back when MTV
yeah,
was still watchable, and
totally.
you're bent over with the fisheye on the camcorder, getting
Yeah, totally.
the low angle. Your trajectory seems so linear. It was almost like you had it figured out. You were passionate about it. When you hit a wall, you made that pivot. I'm kind of interested in that part because that's where a lot of us get hung up is you
Right.
hit a wall, and it's kind of one of these things where there's no rule book to life. You don't know, is it a wall? Is there a wall behind that wall? Is it a
Yeah.
dead end? Or, when do you pivot? When do you push through? So how long did it take you to hit that wall with that typical commercial, being in studio, to
Right.
knowing that you had to get out of there? And how long did you kind of
Yeah.
take to make that transition?
I think you hit it right on the head there. I mean, it's like, I think there was so much of this. I think back then there was so much process. Like you had to do this, you had to go through the steps to become a photographer. And I think in a way I started to realize I had to like kind of give the middle finger to all that, to be like, it's not working for me in terms of the traditional aspect. Like I went to art school, I did that, I started assisting and worked my way up the ladder and did the traditional route of like getting to that point. And it was just like I'd have to break the mold to like continue to find passion in this, because otherwise, like if I just keep going, like I'm gonna shoot things that I'm not passionate about. And like I was just at the point where it's like it almost felt like a cubicle kind of career for me, because it was like some of the same kind of stuff I was doing every day. And while it was fun to be in that creative atmosphere, working with agencies, working with brands, I just needed that extra element. And I think within the outdoor industry and travel and tourism, those kind of jobs were giving me the excitement that I needed. It wasn't the same venue every day. It wasn't the same people, different product, So it was a challenge where I always had to continue thinking about, how do I approach this? How do I pitch this? And I think that was something I wasn't getting from the traditional route. And it is hard. It's a scary jump. And it's like at that time it was like pre social media. So it's like we had a lot of like I think there was like bloggers and journals that people were writing about these like extravagant, 20-day missions and adventures that they were going on for different brands like, REI or the North Face. And I think seeing some of that was like, oh wow, there is this outlet outside of, studio or local market commercial advertising that I wasn't directly aware of. And I was like, you have to go find that. And I think that's something I still try to pitch to people that, are within my industry, that are in my circle, or folks that just email me like, hey, I'm interested in, I want to be I don't know, a kayak photographer or something. And like, how do I do that? And it's like, well, dude, you need to go out and find that. Like, it's not, I can tell you like some of the steps, but I think you have to find it for yourself. But it's not something where someone's just going to knock on your door if you have
Mm.
a couple great images of a rock climber or a runner, or it could be a car too. It's like, I think we're in an age where just good work won't isn't going to get you in the door, or get you the project award. It's like you have to go fight for it a little bit. You got to put yourself out there and get uncomfortable, get sweaty, and really sell yourself. And I think
Mm.
I tell people like I feel like some days I'm 90% a marketer and 10% a creative, because I think so much of it is like relationships and nourishing those and continuing them, like checking in and making sure we still have a good relationship with people, and just all in all, just trying to be a good person and make sure it's a fun experience for people you're working with, and that both parties are being pushed creatively. It's like I never want to go into a project where I'm just like, I'm going to give you exactly what you want and the same thing. We'll get you that shot, but I'm not satisfied until I get you something that is better than both of us thought we could get from a project. It's like
Awesome.
that's going to continue to push our clients and like both as a creative artist. So um
You don't just
yeah, I
wake
guess
up
that
in nice locations and everything. You just get to hike all day.
I wish it was that easy. I would
Sounds like it's
there's
90% work and the
yeah,
10% enjoyment is like it's like what's the hike observation point at Zion where
yeah,
it's like an hour and a half hike and an hour and 15 minutes of it is just kind of like okay walking through the woods and
yeah,
then that last is like the payoff where it's like
totally.
your payoff is huge. It's worth the work and it's kind of necessary now, right? With the way that the commercial market is, it's saturated. And like you
Yeah.
said, good work doesn't stand out as much as it used to because there's so many people from so many different avenues that are
Yeah.
producing good. I mean, there's amateurs that are producing award-winning professional work.
It's insane. I mean, what we just talked about, like how I broke the mold. I mean, I really didn't do anything different than a lot of my counterparts have done and other folks that have found success in the industry. But it's like that whole process has totally 180 flipped itself on a head. The way you get work, the way the commercial industry operates is like it's not the same. And like we're talking 12, 15 years. I mean, so kind of a long time, but not really in the retrospect of how long, photography and cinematography and film has been going on and a medium of advertising. It's like it just like yeah, social media has thrown a wrench in things, but we're like beyond social media at this point. We're beyond influencers. It's in like 2024. This is a different time that I think I'm still trying to figure out, and other folks in like in my shoes too are like, how the heck do we like navigate these waters? Like what
Yeah.
works? It's like you said, it's like I'm not bidding on jobs that are fellow creatives that are 20, 30-year veterans in the industry. I'm bidding against folks that are 19 years old that are directors, which is really exciting. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, these people didn't come up the same way I did. They didn't, cut their teeth traditionally. They didn't pay their dues, if you will. And like, I mean, again, you can give your finger to that mentality of like, you gotta pay your dues and put the work in it. Sure, I get that. And I appreciate other folks like myself that have gone that route. But at the same time, like that doesn't work anymore. It's like you gotta really have the work and then have the ambition to go out there and strike and start those conversations up with folks to like keep those projects coming in the door. So I think that's a big part of finding success and longevity in our industry.
Yeah, it's tough. It's funny because it's like I think this is the first time. I mean, I haven't been around forever since the beginning of time, but I would imagine this is the
Neither.
first time. Very small slice,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
small
yeah,
slice. But
for
I'm
sure.
gonna make a huge generalized statement on something I haven't lived. But
Yeah,
it seems it's almost like, with age comes experience, and that it's always been the older generations, the more experienced generations that have been driving and moving the needle. And now for
yeah,
the first time, you're seeing, because generally what drives the market? Money drives the market. People who are
totally.
spending money drive the market. You're marketing to people that are going to buy product. Who can buy the product? The people who have been around, who are established, who have careers, who have had time to save their money and spend. For the first time, we're really seeing a huge market chunk go to younger consumers and to younger people in
Right.
general. And it's like, guys like me are, way too old to be marketing to 20-year-olds. It's like, I don't know what is popular, what is trending right now, as much as we try to
Yeah,
stay up on it. So now and again, you're seeing like a YouTuber, 19,
yeah,
20-year-old YouTuber, 16, 15, 14-year-old kids who are making $1 million a year off commercial work
yeah.
that we didn't see that before. I mean, are you kind of just, I know some people are probably staying in their lane. They're like, you know what? 90% of the chunk can go over there, but I'm just worried about one person. I'm just worried about getting
Yeah.
mine. I mean, is that really the mentality you have to have, or do you have to have a little bit of I got to stay what's up on, stay, on trend, for lack of a
Yeah.
better term, to know what's going on and open up my own market?
It's that's an interesting topic, and it's like I guess the avenue I've kind of found and I'm kind of sticking to right now is like I've got to stay in my lane. I feel like I've established like a look and feel to my work that it's like we see these trends in photography like we do in fashion. It's like the on-camera flash or the the blurry images, shutter drag, and like all these different fads that come through. And it's like, yeah, we can implement those, but like if I'm just to be like tell a client that yeah, I could go shoot that way, like that's not true to myself. And like I feel very passionate about like hiring the right person for the job. And I think as a senior level creative, that's something I've learned. Like I think when I first started, I was like, man, why didn't I get that job? Because like I could shoot that. I think that was always the mentality of like photographers and cinematographers when they get into the industry is like I should shoot everything. But as I've kind of matured within my age and industry, it's like no, like there's the right person for each job. So I feel like I'm not doing a client service if I go grab an on camera flash and start shooting direct flash with an athlete or talent. That's just not my look. Can I do it? Yeah, for sure. I could dial it in and try to mimic someone else's work, but I don't want to take that from them. I think it's like how like you can't it's like I'm like an artist like recreating the Mona Lisa. Like how many times do you want to do that? Like that's not true to anybody. So like I think it's important to stay in your lane a little bit. Like yeah, obviously like evolve your work, but at the same time like own your craft and own your look because otherwise like there's no authenticity or there's no signature feel to what you offer a client. So again, I think in this day and age, it's like have something you're known for, whether that's a kind of work or a look. I think that's just it's super important to have something ownable that is your stamp in the art industry and creative industry. So
And I think
yeah.
that's the standing approach. My first mentor is a commercial photographer. And I
Mhm.
remember we were talking about a mutual friend of ours who's very talented.
Yeah.
And he basically said, she's very talented. He said, the one thing I would love to see her do is, go, excuse me, in one lane. There we go.
Coffee.
Oh, there we go. Uh,
It's
it's
that
like, I'd love to
clone.
see her go. And I'm just drinking cologne over here. It's getting into my throat. One lane, one direction, because it's like you never know which photographer is going to show up. Is it going to be this, the headshot photographer? Is it going to be the
Yeah.
fashion photographer? Is it the outdoor? So I think that's something that, that's kind of what I'm getting where it's like staying in your lane and
Yeah.
you have to build, if a brand's coming to you, that brand has to know who is the Andrew Maguire that we're hiring? Is it some Andrew
Yeah.
Maguire that we've never seen before going to show
Yeah.
up that day and give us work that we didn't want or,
Yeah. It's tough, man, because I've had jobs where a client like hires me for the job, but then is like showing me somebody else's work and like, can we do this? I'm like, we can shoot in that style, but it's like, why did you just hire him or her? It's like that's a little tricky for me. And obviously I'm super uh thankful and appreciative for any, a client that believes in me to bring me on a project and trust me with their brand. But at the same time, like I said, it's like hire the right person for the job. And obviously there's many factors that go into that, money, logistics, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's just and I've definitely had people come to me like, no, I don't. Does all your work have to look like what you have on your website? And the answer is no. A lot of times it doesn't because obviously every brand has their own style. They have brand standards. They have a certain look and feel that needs to be established to continue putting their brand forward. And I totally understand that. And obviously that we implement that into each project we deliver in post production. So it's like it's not always the Andrew Maguire look. So the answer is yes, to that. But at the same, but yeah, like I'm saying, it's like it's just finding that line of like just own your craft and stay in that lane. And I'll be the first to recommend another person if I feel like I am not the fit. And sometimes you can kind of sniff that out when you're getting asked to bid a project. It's like, man, am I just the third bidder here? Are they just kind of throwing a wild card when these other two creatives are drastically different style of than mine? Like, and sometimes that can work to my favor, sometimes not. You just gotta
right.
kind of feel it out, and it's part of the magic of commercial advertising and bidding on campaigns. It's like I guess it's definitely anxiety driven of like I don't know. It's always a little scary bidding, but it's part of the fun too. It's like when you really nail a bid and you put forward a treatment that is really authentic to you and you believe in, like, and you get that award. I mean, that's so gratifying. Just really, oh, cool. These people believe in my vision and how I interpret their brand, and that's super exciting. And again, something that continues to drive interest and passion within our art form.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the risk reward. Higher
Yeah,
stakes, it's gonna be way more exciting. It's obviously more nerve-wracking, but it's more
yeah,
exciting. I think that's one of the cool things also about networking is being
totally.
able to build out your network. And, one
Yeah,
of the things that I've always used is trying to say no as little as possible. You know what?
right.
Hey, I that's actually not my style. I don't do that kind of work. I actually, if you're open to it, I'd love to refer somebody to you, check them out, this and that.
Yeah,
And when you build a solid, talented network of people who, it gets harder over time, but you have a
right.
small chiseled out network of people that are like, hey, they're going to deliver work that's up to my standards. They're going to be easy to
Exactly.
work with. Work
Yeah,
hard, be nice to people, build out a good network, and that
totally.
way you want to keep the calls coming in. Now, what is it like? Like, how are people getting commercial work in this day and age? Do you have to be represented? Does it make it easier? Is it hard
Yeah,
to get represented? What's the climate like?
good question. Again, I feel like that part of it has been flipped on its head. It's like, yeah, me coming up as like any creative that was, well known in the industry was always represented. Um, and now that's changed a bit. I mean, that was your representative was always kind of the liaison between clients and agencies. And I know, like, I think to an extent it still is, and I totally see value in it. I mean, I am represented. Thank you, James. Um, and it's a great relationship, but I think it's like just the agencies have changed so much. The way they bid on projects has changed, and like it's nothing a change of the guard within how I guess the makeup of a bid goes through and how work is contracted. I mean, certain industries are still very formal. Like the automotive industry still operates in a similar fashion to how it did 15, 20 years ago. So um no, I think it's definitely great to have representation and have someone that's going to bat for you, who can speak for you and push your work while you're working, and just be a confidant for you to go out there and promote their offer a wide variety of talent to different clients. But I think that's huge. Is it hard to get a rep? Yeah, for sure. I think, like I said, I think there's been a lot of reps that have gone away. The pool has definitely gotten smaller. Um, but yeah, I think, when I was going out looking for rep, I've done it a few times. You're sending out a lot of emails. You're not getting a lot of responses. I mean, maybe that's different for some people, but I think it's finding the right match. And I think, again, that's something I've learned too. Um, you have to blend with that person. It's not just about don't get the first rep that says yes to you. It's like you have to find a good relationship, someone that understands how you work and how you want to work and how you want to present yourself to new clientele is extremely important. Um, because if you just have someone that's just going to put you in a website and isn't going to fight for you and doesn't know how you are personally or how you create, like it's kind of a lost cause, in my opinion. Um, you have to have somebody that knows you. So, I mean, I guess my advice to somebody looking for one, it's like, don't give up if you don't hear from somebody. It's like, it's probably not meant to be. Or, a lot of times, like, somebody might not be looking to add to their roster. So, I think a lot of reps now, like back in the day, you used to have these reps that had like 30 people on them, but now it's like much more curated, a much smaller group of artists. So I think that you just don't want to have three people that shoot the same thing. It's like, oh, you're my five lifestyle or sports shooters. I think most of them are trying to give you like one or two that are really strong and can kind of fit the niche of like whatever that certain client might be looking for. But in terms of like what works, it's like I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm kind of throwing the kitchen sink at it. Like I'm kind of in it from all aspects, from various online marketing agencies where my work is online, to, yeah, like I said, having a rep. Then at the same time, I'm still hustling too, like LinkedIn, cold call, emails, like doing the occasional email blast, the dreaded email blast, slipping into people's emails, Instagram, whatever. I think you have to throw everything at it just to stay in it. Obviously, if you don't get a response back from somebody, don't. It's not the end of the world. I mean, just people are so busy. I mean, think about every assistant or a crew member that wants to work for you that you probably don't always have time to email them back. You try to, but I don't know. We're all, I think, working double time. I think in the post-COVID world. I just feel
Totally.
like it's kind of changed the workspace and kind of what's expected from everybody to produce on a daily basis. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you're
It's the age
inundated
old
from all
question.
directions. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right, and it's the age old question that constantly the answer constantly changes with the
yeah,
shifting landscape. It's like now it's like,
yeah,
well, used to be you wanted to build rapport. Now people
right,
don't have. Do you have time to even build rapport? Because everyone, like you said, everyone's got double the work that they're doing.
right,
They're expected to turn out for the same amount of pay.
right.
And you're getting, it's like, okay, well, I get LinkedIn messages and this, and then it's if it looks like
Yeah,
someone's trying to small talk, is it like, all right, I don't have time for small
yeah,
talk right now. I'm just business only. But
right.
then if you come business only, then it's like, okay, well, I want to build rapport with someone. It's like which you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Sometimes it seems.
100%. I mean, it's crazy how much the pandemic flipped the industry on its head. It's like 5 years ago, we'd be doing portfolio showing like a physical book to agencies, show up, put a few portfolios out, show our reel on like a screen and have, you know, many different promos. And like that doesn't exist anymore. Yes, it does, but very few. You contact an agency or like, hey, can we meet? I'd love to show you my book. Or, first of all, they're like, well, I'm working from home. I don't really want to come in. Like, and that's just a generalized thing. But again, people are more, less people are in the office, and then people also when they are in the office, like, I don't have a office anymore. Please don't send me promos. I don't have anywhere to store them. So it's just that part of it's changed. Like I have two print books that I have not updated in probably 4 years. Like it's sad. I'm a diehard love print, and it was always a fun part of curating a portfolio, and seeing that physically printed in front of you and being able to show it. But it's like people just don't. There's not a time and place for me. I can't think of the last time I got a call from an agency. Hey, can you send your book out to be reviewed? Like that's literally how products, 10 to like 5 to 10 years ago would be. They're like, hey, send your book in. We want to review. We're reviewing photographers, and now it's like, here's a PDF. So
No,
the
it's
di-
so like
it's
there's
not
a
the
certain
same.
sense. No.
I know it's so
Especially for
sad to be
outdoor
in.
work. Like your work, it's
Yeah,
like it's made to be large scale. Like that's the work you want to see like 10 by
yeah,
20 on a wall, not a
right.
PDF that you have to scroll page to page.
Yeah, I mean, I know I sound like such a Renaissance man talking about it, but yeah, it's such a different
Two old men
experience
complaining.
to like, yes, you'd be able to flip through a book and just like physically feel the image. I don't know, there's something just so like gratifying about that you just don't get anymore from just erroring through a PDF or going through a website. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's
I'm
it's a weird it's
canceling
a weird
looking
time.
through. We're not looking through your images anymore. Everyone's
Yeah,
come on over.
yeah,
We're gonna
yeah.
look
Let's
through a
do it.
book together. No sharing them on screen.
Amen,
No,
man.
I'm in the
I
same
love
boat,
that.
man. It's like I got my
Yeah,
prints hanging behind me. I still
yeah.
print books. I'm working on two more books. Just like
Good
a
for
book of
you.
family
Good for you.
vacation pictures. Just
Yeah,
because it's like I want my son to have that. I want my son to grow up and
right.
the feel of looking through an album and
Yeah,
having actual tangible pictures that you can take out and hold. There's
absolutely.
still something to it. And I think that's why there's been a
Yeah.
resurgence of film and why cameras that years ago were $20 are now $400 to buy secondhand. And
Oh yeah, it's insane.
it's
I
it's
mean, we still
it's
have
driven
a we
everything
still have a
up.
local camera shop here. That's not B&H, but it's a local camera shop, and he said
We'll
he's
let them
selling
pass.
more. Yeah, he is selling more film cameras than he did, back in 2000. It's like you said, huge resurgence. He's selling more film than digital supplies at this point. It's a really weird thing. I think
Have you been
the
dipping back
iPhone,
into it or
a little
now?
bit.
A little bit?
I still have a Hasselblad. That
Nice.
it's been a while, but it's always sitting there, kind of reminding me that, hey, slow down and get back and roll some film through that thing. So I need to. It's
I,
a good reminder. But
that brings up a great kind of topic to kind of segue to is that slowing
yeah,
down. And
right.
you said when you mentioned the car industry, it's funny is because
Yeah,
it's like as I'm looking through your images,
yep,
beautiful work. And of course, you see the classic car image, and everyone knows it's like the car image where they shut down a mountain road
yeah,
and you have the car driving along the mountain road or driving along Big Sur. And then you get like the
yeah,
nice shutter drag shots. And
yeah,
it's like, as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, the automotive, like it's a recipe that's worked and they don't
yeah,
need to change it. It stays. But
right.
then you see with the resurgence of like running and all these outdoor
Yeah,
activities, So
Yeah.
running here in New York is like, man, you show up and
Huge.
you can't even run. It's huge now, but that's
Yeah.
also taken on, a lot more brands like Hoka, Brooks. You didn't see Hoka and Brooks marketing 15 years ago. Like there was just
Yeah.
there was really, it was Nike doing running ads, and now you're seeing a lot more of that other stuff. Can you talk a little bit about
Yeah.
just kind of like a comparison between the car industry's obviously been around for decades, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like you said, it has the
Yep.
same, it hasn't changed much, but now this resurgence of adventure activities and adventure sports,
Mhm.
and now them being marketing more than we saw in the past.
Yeah, I think a lot of that again, yeah, COVID kind of obviously promoted a lot of that. And it's interesting just talking to brands that couldn't produce enough product during the height of the pandemic. And now some of those people are like, oh, I'm gonna get into hiking or I'm gonna get into rock climbing or trail running. And like I think some people that definitely filtered out a lot of people that were like, no, it's not for me. But I think it's really spawned a market that has really latched on to some of those sports. And I think running is just at an all-time high right now. I mean, from everything from like urban running crews to trail running, back to track and field. I mean, track and field with the Olympics has taken such a pedestal again in just modern media and modern sports. I think it's just so cool to see the amount of athleticism. And I think athleticism can be both at the high level of this pro runner, but it can also be a very novice level. And I think that's an awesome thing that a lot of these brands have approached, like really coming to it from a more approachable level where you don't have to be a pro level. You can be a slow runner. You can be, it's like you don't have to be fast. I think acceptance into the industry and into a community is so huge. I think that's a lot of what has driven um, some of the growth within both how it's marketed and just promoted throughout modern culture. And that's really exciting. It's been a change of how running has been captured too. I think, traditionally it's like, oh, you need that perfect form and get the exact right hit of the shoe taking off or hitting the ground, or proper form. And now it's becoming more just about the experience. You like, what's the experience we can share with a potential client? Um, it's really about selling that, which is really cool because you can just kind of go out there and just be one with that run crew. And I think that has really relayed well to me because that's how I like to approach any creative project. Like I always like to pretend, and I always tell people I'm more of a documentary photographer than I am like a commercial photographer. I want people to feel like the camera is part of the image. So, I'm like that third wheel or that fifth member of the crew. So just being careful about like how you compose an image or what lens you use to make an image feel that a potential viewer or client can put themselves into that image. It becomes much more relatable to them, and like hopefully they find passion to either explore the sport or go to this state or buy this car. You want to make it feel real. I think so much of media and some of the early Instagram stuff was just these like all too perfect, beautiful girl or man at the top of a mountain at sunset, only one there. It's like those are great images, but come on, how realistic? It's just like it's not real. I mean, some of that is, but it's about like exploring the outdoors or going on a road trip is about the people you're around and the places you visit. So it's like selling that sense of place or that energy of like what it's like to be a part of that experience is I think what is really driving marketing. And people might disagree with that, but that's how I interpret it from a creative standpoint, from the visual end of things. And I think that's really cool. I hope that it continues down that path because I think it drives whether it might not be a factual story, but I think the illusion of like this like go from here day in the life kind of thing is really relatable to me, and I find so much more passion about shooting this like kind of faux story or real story as opposed to just going to like posed images or like really set up shots where it's just like okay, you found the right time, the right athlete, the right light, and you go and just get a banger shot. I think it's much more about like telling the story of just everything that encompasses the experience, and that's where you really walk away with some really authentic imagery and a really successful campaign, in my opinion.
You can see it in your images where, yeah, it is more like it looks like what it looks to go out and do that. What is it like behind the scenes when you're shooting? I mean, we talked about this in the
Yeah,
green room. It's easy to go out in New York City, but I can't
Yeah.
imagine some of these locations you're going to. What is it like from like a gear perspective, crew?
Yeah.
Are do you how much are you narrowed in on like a, like a shot list, or is it like, hey, we need this particular shot in this location, or is it kind of like, okay, let's go out to the desert and no matter which way we look, there's gonna be something. Let's just go walk
Yeah.
around and find it.
I find that most of the time it's a little more scripted. It's like
Okay.
not so much like a storyboard. I mean, yeah, with our motion projects, we will be shooting like a creative concept of storyboarding some of those things, lightly to build out, a 15-second or a 30-second edit. But I think with the photography aspect, there are some key vantage points or product details that are kind of called out in like your pre-pro meetings with the client, that are kind of crucial assets that you need to walk away with for whatever creative outlet that image needs to go towards. So there's some of that that's very scripted, and you need to make sure that happens. And so some of those sets will have a full crew. It's like myself, a few assistants, some PAs, the digital tech, so that you can kind of like really go out there, and be tethered to a camera, and clients there checking the screen to make sure we're getting exactly what we want. But other times it's a little more kind of off the cusp, where I feel like that's kind of my zone where I don't have to be tethered. I can just kind of be, like we were saying, just be part of the athlete, get really close to the athlete with a wide lens, or like just be a part of the experience as more and less of just like a pulled back photographer shooting the landscape. We'll get some of that, but it's just, I like to kind of approach it from a more creative angle that's authentic to the sport or activity or experience. Um,
Got it.
but yeah, every shoot's different. And I think, some of that, is like some very careful planning of like finding these locations, talking to local mountain guides, or sending a locations guide out there to, get some pre-scouting images that we can take back to the client and propose some ideas or some vision that we have with these spots. But other times it's more just about going out with like real pro level athletes. And some of those is more just chasing, trying to keep up. A lot of those guys are just guys and gals are, they're so athletic, and it's just about keeping up with them. They've got a routine, they've got a training schedule. They usually don't want to go slow. And they, after a few times, they're like, all right, let's run that again. Like, they're like, really? Come on, can we just run? So I try to be respectful of that and just kind of find ways to shoot with them so that I'm not taking them too much out of their normal regime. I just really want them to feel like I'm not there, or I'm just I'm their running partner as a sense, so that it's not these contrived images. So that's kind of my
So,
approach. But yeah, there is a good amount of planning. Like there certainly is the more run and gun guerrilla style, but I'd say 8 times out of 10, we're really thinking about where we go, what time of day we're shooting, and kind of what key players we bring into an experience.
I mean, I think you would have it. I didn't even think about that aspect when you're dealing with professionals. And yeah, you don't want it. People think I think some people think it's like you go out there and it's like they pause mid pose, like mid stride, and it's like, all right, we're
Yeah,
just gonna take some images, and it's like, no, it's not like that. So that planning does make sense. It's like, okay,
yeah,
if I can get this vantage point up here, you guys are gonna be running by here, get my focus set or whatever I need, and I
totally.
kind of have myself set up for that shot. Now we're gonna take a
Yeah,
look at some of your wonderful images in a minute here.
let's
Before
do
we
it.
do that, obviously we're B&H. We want to know what's the gear choice. What's your go-to workhorse setup that you use on a day-to-day basis?
I'm a Canon guy. I
Nice.
get a lot of flack for that with all the stuff that's out there. There's a lot of great cameras, but I love my Canons. I got a Canon R3, and I actually just got the R5 Mark II over last Friday. So did a
Nice.
little shot with that last night a little bit, and really excited about what the capabilities are there. So yeah, all Canon gear, brown color
24 to
lighting.
70, 24 to 105. What's the go-to on the lens side?
Yeah, it's right now. It's been the 24 to 105. Oh, no, sorry, 24 to 70, and then the 10 to 20 wide angle, which is
Okay.
a really cool wide angle that came out last year. The Nat 4, but man, that thing is tack sharp. I can just like kind of spray and pray, if you will, like he's kind of trying to get some really interesting angles. I mean, the autofocus on the R3 is just so banger. You can it really allows you just to kind of go and get creative with how you shoot and chase down some athletes or get interesting perspectives, whether it's like throwing the camera overhead in a tripod and shooting remotely, or shooting from rollerblades or putting it on a gimbal, like all kinds of stuff. I love to just kind of play with. play with things just to get more interesting angles and perspectives for my shoots. But
That's one of the awesome things about technology now. It's like you can do a lot more and you can try a lot
yeah,
more and you could take more risks, right, because you don't have to worry about being held back by
totally.
slow autofocus, especially for what you do. I'm guessing
Yeah.
autofocus is that's you has to be there. It's got to be king.
It's a lifesaver. I mean, it's come such a long way from, I guess, my first intro was like some like early, D70 or Canon. I don't even like 5D Mark II was probably my first real camera way back when. And oh man, it's come light years from like having 6.9
Six
autofocus points
dots,
to
yeah, nine.
having 64 or whatever the new cameras have. It's just insane. So
You'd be running
technology.
shots back like crazy on that. Like,
Oh
hey, you got
yeah,
to do that again. I'm
right.
focused on the mountain range behind you.
Yeah. Center point autofocus just doesn't cut it back then. No, it's yeah. I mean, I have no complaints. Cameras are in such a good spot right now. We can geek out about tech all day long. So, but no, yeah. At the end of the day, they're hammers, and I'm not precious about my cameras. I put them through the paces and whatever I need to do to get the shot. So I'm grateful for how burly the Canon gear is, and it's never let me down. So thank you. Not sponsored also, but
Not, yeah,
Canon,
yeah. He's got to point
let's
that out.
chat.
He's like,
Let's chat.
definitely.
Yeah.
Look, that's a thing now too. It's like one thing I want to go back to that you said I think is a
Yeah.
great point with not just representation but sponsorship too, where it's like I feel like
Yep.
people now everyone's so desperate to get attached to a brand or a rep or whatever it is, where it's like you
Sure.
don't think it through, and it's like you want to, we hear brand sponsors say it all the time, where it's like the brand, I'm aligned with the brand because I
Yeah.
use the brand. I love the brand. And it's not just like, oh, hey, any old brand comes along. I feel like a lot of people now,
Sure.
you see it more with accessory stuff than
Yeah.
camera gear, but it's like, oh, hey, this bag brand came along and offered me a free bag if I post on Instagram 5 times a day and say their name and
Sure.
tag them. And then people just like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, I can be sponsored. Let me just jump at it. But I think there's something to be said for really taking pride in your work and
Hmm.
your brand. And I know that's
Right.
something that you work at, and you don't
Yeah.
work all this, this entire lengthy career to build up a name and a brand and an image to just kind of throw it away for whatever.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's so interesting to see these different sponsored athletes or creators that are like, yeah, going through like they're sponsoring three different bag companies within a year. And like, okay, which one do you actually support? And that's the thing. I've found gear that works really well for me, and I stand behind. So like, I just don't. I don't want to have to go out and fuss with like things going wrong when I'm on a shoot. It's like I know my gear is going to work. My kit is so dialed. Like I've spent 18 years dialing in what works for me. If I don't like a lens, I'll get rid of it, try something new. It's like I don't need a lot of like everything's coming in my back or my assistant's back. So it's like I'm not trying to load it down with a bunch of stuff that I don't use. Like I'm pretty methodical about what I bring on a shoot. So I know it works. I know it's going to give me the shot I want. And so like if it doesn't, it's not getting packed. So
Was it mostly natural light you're doing? Or are you a reflector? Are you bringing a strobe just in case? Or how do you work light wise?
we bring it out. Yeah, we kind of bring all of it. I think a lot is natural light, but we always have like a 1 to 2 head kit for all my commercial projects just to like most of it's just like recreating, natural light, ambient, boosting anything, boosting some fill light as we need it. But, I usually have a small grip kit that comes along with me for more active outdoor shoots. Obviously, if we're doing anything, it's more interior lit. We'll have a grip truck and all the crew and all that stuff that goes along with it. And then obviously motion is a different story, different set of tools and resources. But yeah, I mean, I don't like to go out and not, kind of get caught with my pants down. I want to have everything I
Definitely.
need um, to make it happen and walk away with some great content. So
We're
yeah.
gonna get you going on 2 hour hikes into the mountains with the official Aaron Anderson 16 piece strobe kit. No, I'm fine. I don't even know how many.
uh,
I probably ask him every time I talk to him,
yeah,
what his average number of lights is. We're gonna roll into some images here, and
absolutely.
look, some of them there may be a little story behind, some of them not. If there's
Totally.
anything you want to say, I mean, beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, this one up in the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, we were on a shoot for Merrill. This is like 5 or 6 years ago. We kind of took a seaplane into this little island and was about this time of year, nice summer day. Got to the pilot was like, "You guys want to go diving?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So grabbed the water housing and just went to town and had some fun with these guys. These are three athletes, and actually one of the guys was from the brand at the time. So yeah, we just had a really good crew that we worked together and had a good rapport, and just yeah, going out, kind of getting that day in the life kind of moment of just the spontaneity and having fun in the Great Lakes. So this was a really fun shoot. We had a great crew, and just obviously always good to be back in the home state shooting when I can. So this is super fun image.
Yeah, yeah. The home state you mentioned, Michigan. Have
Michigan.
have
Yep.
have you done? I know you've done tourist stuff for states, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. I mean,
Yep.
that's got to be different,
Yeah.
way different than doing just your regular privatized commercial work.
Right.
I never would have thought Michigan when you said this, and I think that's the
Yeah.
power of photography and someone who
Totally.
is really passionate about what they're photographing, and especially when it comes to tourism, because it's like when most people think
Mm.
Michigan, I think like wind, snow, don't want to live
Yeah.
there. And I look at this and I'm like, wow, that's Michigan?
uh, let's go on a trip.
Crazy.
I will
That's
show you some spots. Yeah,
crazy.
Michigan is a true gem, man. There's some amazing stuff there.
I'm probably missing 99% of what Michigan is really about and just getting hung up on the winter.
Yeah, you just need to drive about 2 to 4 hours west of Detroit, and it's all gold from up there. The,
There we
the the
go.
lakes do not disappoint. Yeah, across the bridge, you're in God's country. Good
That's
stuff up there.
awesome. This is
This is an
God's
image
country right there.
yeah, Cowtown. Yeah. Yeah, this is a super fun shoot we did with Free Skier magazine about 2 or 3 years ago. This is a big cat skiing shoot we did. Yeah, just kind of finding that gold light and just snow particles right into the camera all day long. It's one of those kind of happy moments that you could not predict, but just kind of setting yourself up for success, getting out there with some great athletes that you know are just going to go out there and crush, and just kind of set yourself up for some good light and just nail the shot. And yeah, this is one of those happy moments of just like sun in the right position and just some of that just natural snow pow coming up in the air and making his turn look super pretty, and just makes you long for winter, even though it's still summertime. Yeah, that was
Almost
a
there.
fun day. Almost
Wh-
there.
wh- what's the hardest or most difficult to nail your shots in out of all the adventure sports that you photographed?
Oh man, the ski industry can be tough because I think it's a lot of calculation, especially if you're out in the backcountry. A lot of times you find these locations, and it's you know the camera's in a place where you might not be able to see your athlete above, and so you're kind of radioing in from below, and you're like, okay, we want you to kind of ski down fast, kind of hit this knoll here, like throw some snow up. You're trying to give them these visual cues of like landmarks of where to go, and some of it's you're crossing your fingers a little bit and just kind of being able to give your athlete some really uh, clear direction of where to go. I think that's crucial. But again, some of it, like when you can't see them and your athlete can't see you, that gets a little tricky. And being in some of these locations, like redoing the shot, that might require another hour and a half hike back up the mountain. So yeah, it's really trusting your athletes, and having good direction is huge. But yeah, I think some of those snow sports where you just can't you're in a position where you can't see is definitely a little bit difficult for sure.
We city slickers have it so easy here.
This is from
I
one of my
love
favorite
this.
places in the world. This is Mont Blanc out in Chamonix, just the mecca of all things mountain sport and alpinism. This is an oldie. This is 2015, and we were on a shoot for Nike. Nike had just revamped and reintroduced their trail running program, so we got to go out there right before the UTMB, the big trail running races, kind of one of the pinnacles of the sport. We got to go out there and do some testing and shooting with their athlete team, and yeah, I mean, it's just man, it's just a hard place to not take an amazing photo, but it's such a special place, not only from the beautiful mountains and just the terrain and geography, but just the town in general. When you're there, it just has a feeling of being there with other athletes, and just the sport is there. The mountains like drive so much of the passion, and authenticity within that area. And it's the closest thing I found to religion, just being in those kind of moments. Um, Really special place. Yeah, just spectacular.
Beautiful. Your color grading as well. I've noticed that, you have a look and you're dialed
Yeah,
in on your colors. And I think that's something that people underestimate and understate so much, how much color
sure.
plays into the way we view images.
Oh yeah, I can totally change an image. I mean, you can changing the tone of the sky, or like putting a little tone in the shadows. I mean, can really make or break an image, or I guess, or just change the way it percepted and the feeling it gives off. So I love it, and it just like color is an art of its own. I love to dabble in it. I trust some of my go-to retouchers to kind of help me get me there sometimes. But it's such a fun part of the industry, and just like I said, it's an art of its own almost.
Totally. Where was this one?
Ah, here we are,
Awesome.
Alaska.
Wow.
This is again off an island off the Homer Spit. Um, just yeah, really cool spot. This was on a shoot on a campaign we did with our friends over at Garmin for one of their InReach devices, one of their little GPS locators, kind of messaging devices for kind of off-grid adventures. So yeah, we were out there for a week, kind of just checking around the Alaskan tundra, kind of shooting everything from trail running to hiking, just trying to show the idea of being out there and having the security of being with your trusted device. So you can be out in the elements, but still be close and connected with those back at home. So yeah, Alaska is just, man, it's that place is amazing, and there's so much mystery and just awe and intrigue there. If you had the opportunity to go, some of the best seafood I've ever had in my life, and just cool people, man. It's like it's just different. It's America, but it's not. It could be its own country. It's a special place that always kind of has me going back for more. So
That's awesome. I was waiting for you to say Michigan on this. I was gonna be like, oh no, I was
yeah,
gonna flip the
right.
disc. There we go. Autumn.
Here's the car imagery. Yeah.
There it is.
This is actually a fun campaign we did for the state of Colorado. Really trying to promote EV travel around the state. So we got to go. We This is like a 3 week campaign where we traveled around the whole state, working with a local ad agency here in Colorado, Carshagen, and we kind of had an arsenal of EV vehicles, and we were kind of just trying to promote EV travel and the things you can do while your car is traveling. So just trying to get people to kind of alleviate that idea of range anxiety of like, oh, I'm going to run out of gas or charge. What do I do? So we got to go out there and create some beauty images of just like these different parts around the state that and activities. A lot of things in Colorado, we do have EV chargers right at the trailhead, so you can be charging your car up for the next mission while you're out on a 2 to 3 hour hike. So um, this is just one of the fun moments on the beautiful mountain roads of just kind of happy moment of this Volvo EV going through. So yeah, this is a fun one.
Way better than my charging station in a
Yeah,
retail parking lot in the Bay Area.
yeah, totally. Just at a Walmart somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's like McDonald's, I think.
uh, this is one of my good buddies, Jason Anton, who's a badass athlete and a mountain guide. This is down in Moab. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is in Zion actually.
Oh,
Uh, we
nice.
were
Oh,
we were
which
doing
part is
we were doing
Zion?
it. I
This
cannot
is
remember. I know
I'll
you were
have
just
to
there.
yeah, I was just
Yeah,
there. I wasn't at this part. Man, I
yeah.
researched wrong. It's
This is just
awesome.
like I've worked with Jason a lot, and most of the time I'm trying to keep up with him the best I can. I mean, he's just a him and some of our buddies are just machines out there. So just luckily finding this happy moment of him just cruxing over this ridge here on that classic Utah Red Rock. Um, just kind of right time, early morning. This is probably like 7 a.m. Kind of embracing some of those deep shadows behind us, but finding this beautiful little window of glory as he just crept over that ridge. Super fun. Just yeah, I think like I said, some of these moments you're out there just kind of crossing your fingers that you get that athlete in the right spot. And this is one of those moments that just aligned, and Jason killed it. This was a super fun shoot. Just kind of one of those camping out in the elements with the athletes and getting out there early and just crushing. So good times, good memories.
Love it. And we'll see some more of it that you use the foreground all the way to the background very well. I mean, that it looks to me like that's a staple of your work, and you
Yeah.
do it so well. Like the out of focus in the foreground, the way you use,
Mm,
a leaf here, whether it's,
sure.
really out of focus where you can see through to the background, or it's a little more in focus, but it fills that dead space. It's like that's one thing I noticed about your work, that
Yeah.
you're framing and the way you compose and use those elements and you stack and you layer so well.
Cheating dirty. Just fun to like, yeah, keep it. Yeah, I think a lot of it was from skateboarding. You kind of like look. I love those like low skate angles that you can kind of use different elements to shoot through or find interesting element like geography, or whether that's rocks or a fence post, or just framing is so fun. I think that's such a cool part of the art form of filmmaking and photography. It's just so fun to find these moments when they line up, and then just yeah, kind of shoot a ton of images and try to find that right moment. And this image being one of them. This is working with a amazing trail runner Tara out in the outside the Bay Area. Actually, just yeah, we were in this big open field that had this amazing set of piece of single track going through it. We were on a shoot for ultra running earlier this spring, actually. So this is a pretty new image. Yeah, and she just crushed it, and just this beautiful moment, these wild horses just in the background. Who is this person running through our frame? Just like that, you just can't make these moments happen sometimes. And like, I just love when those moments align, the stars align, and you get these great little moments that you could try all day and never recreate if you tried. So yeah, this was a really fun moment.
I love that. I'm not going to open the can of worms, but these are the images that you really appreciate now in the age of AI, that are just real serendipitous moments.
Yeah, you can't make that. And I just yeah, this image is being one of those two, just like kind of between takes at like an athlete, just grabbing a breath. Just this is our buddy Mario. Just yeah, kind of taking it in right above the bay. Yeah, I don't know. I just again framing. I just love
Framing. I
those
was going to
moments
say the
of
same thing. It's like the
yeah,
elbow is right above,
yeah,
he fills that negative space there so well. You do it so well, man. This is, and now I feel more comfortable. I'm back in my
yeah. Hey, we're
that
back.
comfort place.
Almost New York City, Mexico City. Another just amazing metropolitan mecca. So much culture and just beauty of just like urban architecture and just like grit and grime. This is super fun. We were out last December with Brooks Running, part of their new campaign that launched there this year. Just super fun. Here we're working with like a run crew, so we had a few different folks that week, but this is some of our stars from that, and just, yeah, kind of being out there at rush hour on this great running bridge, walking path, running bridge, what have you, and yeah, again, just trying to find different perspectives. Like this is that's like this cool kind of circular formation on this bridge, and just like, hey, let's get up there, let's get a bird's eye perspective, just trying to change it up a little bit, fun and interesting angle to kind of really capture the art and essence of running. So
I
yeah,
love
this
that.
this one was
This is like when we were talking earlier, when you're like, okay, the model-esque person at the top of the mountain in the sunset. And it's like when you look at your
yeah,
images, this is one of the images that jumped out to me, is like, this is what it looks like. Like this literally looks like someone took a picture of my run club on Wednesdays, running along,
yeah,
with like the commuter traffic in the background. And I'm like, it looks
yeah,
like what reality is, which I love, that the real take to
yeah.
advertising photography.
Yeah, totally. And like again, these are two of the same athletes here, but just different part of the run, kind of just finding those fun moments of like shooting through things. Again, I don't know. I love when you find those happy moments of just like great little foreground elements that kind of come through and you just nail that perfect expression. Like I love how he's just like kind of gassed, his mouth is open, and his foot form is awesome too, which is a bonus. Clients love that. But no, this is just like, yeah, again, one of those like kind of on the run moments of just glory and just love. I don't know. You can't prescribe these kind of things. It's like you try to set yourself up for as much success as you can, but sometimes these moments have happened where land in the right time, you nail that trigger. R3's got 30 frames per second, and you get that right moment in frame, and you're like, yes. It's always like that good feeling walking away from a shoot when you like know you have that in the bag. This is one of those moments I just like really, really a favorite from that shoot too.
Yeah, beautiful shot. And it's like, I know you talked about the technical thing, and it's like when you're,
Yeah.
when you're photographing dancers, it takes a
Hmm.
dancer to know what good form is. And with runners, it's the same thing. It's like run brands
Right.
are going to want to capture, I'm sure there's moments like this where it's like there's just a
Yep.
different feel to the image when they're at the right point in the stride and when you
Yeah,
have somebody who has good form, and it makes their stuff look a little bit
right.
more professional.
Yeah, and this is Mendoza, like our athlete from there. I don't know, just like finding those moments between. He's an animated dude, and I just love like I don't put the camera down between takes. Like we keep going, and you just get some of those natural elements of just like them doing their thing, taking a break, drinking water, checking their phone, picking their nose, whatever. Like I don't know, it's just like these are the storytelling elements that like keep me so engulfed in our industry, and like it's a story. I love. I don't look at my work as a campaign. It's like these are stories, different moments of life that we can look back on and be like, that's a cohesive campaign that tells like from start to finish. And I think that's just a. I love that. I love that so much of advertising has gone back to storytelling, and it's not just these one-off moments of beautiful model stretching. I think that's
Right.
the big when you from your question earlier about how is running changed, like 5, 6 years ago was that static moment almost of like somebody not running. And I'm like,
It's
wait, isn't this
true.
for a running shoe? Like why are they standing still?
Yeah,
So
I didn't
yeah,
think about that.
yeah,
You're right. It is. It used to be a
yeah,
lot more static. Wow. I didn't even it didn't register until you said that. I'm like, yeah, you do see a lot more action now and a lot more group running photos.
right.
And I think that probably it's, weaved in with the run club explosion, but running's not necessarily running was always seen as like a
Yeah,
solo sport or one or two people. And now you're seeing a lot more group running and
yeah,
you're seeing the marketing approach that perspective as well.
totally. It's about the experience, not just
Yeah.
that one-off moment of running and training by yourself. But
As I end on a image of a solo runner.
yeah, this is just a fun one, and this is personal work. This is just portfolio of me like feeling like, hey, I want to I at this point I had been shooting so much trail running. I was always out in the mountains, and like I felt like my book was just like epic ridge lines, epic mountains. I just wanted to really push my work and just show more of the urban breadth. And this is me hiring an athlete, setting up wardrobe, kind of doing all the production internally, and just grabbing an athlete for a morning and going out there to make some personal work. So this is really fun, and just again one of those moments: the birds coming overhead, the people at the crosswalk, the light and shadow. It's like you can't plan these things. Like I did scout this location, I did scout this area. I knew what time the light was going to be right, but I mean, you can't plan for a flock of seagulls to blow through your frame in the exact right point. Like there's no Photoshop here. This is aside from color, like that's it. And I just love that mystery of photography of just being in the right place, the right time, and you get these one-off moments that are like I don't know. I like the shot a lot. It just like there's so much going on, and I think it's just an interesting moment that you can never recreate, without some weird AI stuff.
No, I
insert
agree.
insert birds here.
Insert bird, yeah, flock of seagulls.
Yeah,
If you had that on your bingo card, flock of seagulls, 80s reference there for you
yeah. On
Gen
my
Z
on my
people.
tombstone. Yeah,
No,
totally.
it is a great shot to end on because it's serendipitous, but you can see the like you said, the attention to detail with the wardrobe. And of
Mm,
course you're paying attention to the stride. I think
yeah,
then you have the serendipitous parts of the couple standing there on the corner. It kind of
yeah,
balances out that, where you have one person over here, a couple standing waiting to cross the
yeah,
street, the flock of seagulls, as you said. I mean, everything's just lined up so nicely. There's the way, even the angle for me, you know, I shoot a lot of city and urban stuff, so I'm
yeah,
used to it. So I love seeing people that really pay attention to their signs going up and, not having it so squared where it's like you have in the angles of the buildings, but then you have stuff that looks more square, but everything was
yeah.
strategically aligned. It
It's
made
my
it made
interpret.
the what's the word I'm looking for? A term. I don't even know. It drives me, it grinds my gears when people don't pay attention to that. And it's like, if there's lines there, use them.
Oh,
And
tangents.
yeah, yeah. Your
Okay,
tangents, it's like everything is,
sure, sure.
it was on. It was on. If I was over
That
here
that's
like going
well.
crazy, like, oh, I just see sometimes I'm like, there's lines there, use them, they're shapes. But
Yeah,
well
I don't
done,
know. It's
man. I
such
mean,
a framing is awesome. I love that's I think why everyone gets into it. That's finding the moment and yeah, making
that's
art.
what
That's
separates it from just run of the mill stuff. It's the little details. And I
mm,
think the people who are really going to appreciate your work are going to see that. And the
Mm.
people even who that you're marketing to that don't know
Yeah,
about it, our brains are still working. And I think that's one of the things, just to
sure.
take it back to like the nerd out level of photography, is like, if you don't have a horizon straight. Now, look, does it always have to be straight? No, there's sometimes we bend it or it
Right.
fits, but we do it because there's
Yeah.
another reason, and something, it makes something else fit. But if it's
Yep.
not straight, or if buildings aren't straight, if it's, again, if you're shooting fisheye, you're shooting wide angle, there's certain times where you're going to do it intentionally, but the intention
Yeah.
comes through in the image.
Mm.
So
Yeah. There's so much. Yeah. I always tell people just use your toolkit, use your paintbrushes. Like it's all part of it. Like make mistakes and like do things the wrong way. I don't like, there are no, like at this time and era, there are no rules to art form, creativity, to advertising. Like people will be attracted to what you do or maybe not attracted to what you do, but like at the end of the day, make work that is true to yourself because at the end of the day, this is all we have. Like you have your career and these images are what's going to represent you in terms of like the longevity or like your, I don't know, what you walk away from. So like, don't walk away with work that you're not proud of. It's just like make work that's true to you, not work that you think you have to do to be accepted or to make a career in this industry. Because at the end of that's not going to lead you to fulfillment. At the end of the day, be passionate, be excited, be stoked, make mistakes, and just be a good person, I guess. And I think that's the recipe for longevity in this career, and I'm going to continue to do that as long as I can, and until bots take over and they don't need us anymore. But I have faith in humanity and in the art form and just my peers, and like let's just continue to push each other and just propel the industry into the next whatever is next. I have no idea. I'm excited. I'm nervous, but it'll still be good, and I think art will always shine through.
that's awesome. This was just like looking up a recipe online. We get an hour of storytelling, and then at the end you get the recipe. So Andrew
There you
kind
go,
of
Betty
summed it up right
Crocker.
there. Yeah, I didn't even realize I got a Brooks hat next to me this whole time.
Dude, hell
I
yeah.
could have been on brand for this.
Damn, my
Sitting
client's gonna give me
here.
bonus points.
Yeah, there we
Yes.
go. Shout out to the Run Happy crew, the whole Run
Yeah.
Happy family. Now, huge thank you to Andrew. This is awesome. I gotta give him
Yeah.
another
Thank you,
shout out.
Derek.
Aaron Anderson, thank you for introducing us, because we always
Yes.
love getting talented faces on here, and I think that's what it's about, is really
Yeah.
getting everyone's perspective. And this was just such an
Totally.
awesome look into a world that is so foreign to many of us. We see your work and work similar to it all over, but we don't really know
Mm.
what goes into it, and more importantly,
Yeah.
anything about the people behind it. So it's awesome,
Yeah. I
man.
think that there's always a story. There's always a process, and I think it's the best part about it is how people do it differently. Like what works for you is not what's gonna work for me, and I think that's what makes us like individuals, and that's awesome. I love that part of it, and I don't like the less cookie cutter, the better, right?
That's very, very, very true. Well, look, you do something that you love for a living. I do something that I love for a living because of people like you.
Yes.
So huge thank you to Andrew. We're gonna drop his links into the YouTube chat, so make sure you guys check those out. Andrew, can't thank you enough, man. Wonderful having you on the platform. You're welcome
Derek,
back
thanks a lot.
whenever,
That was so
anytime,
fun.
man. Glad
Good
you had
chatting, man.
fun. It's
We'll
always
link up
great
with
chopping it up, man. Always great. So
absolutely. Thanks,
we'll link
everybody.
one day in person. We got to pull our own
I would
little
love that.
either.
Me, you, and Aaron somewhere.
Let's do it. Pick a state from there. There we
Yeah,
go.
we'll find where he's landing. All right.
Yeah,
Thank
he's
you
the
so
one we got to
much.
track down. Huge thank you to Andrew
Yeah.
Maguire. Check his work out, of course. And that is it. That's all we got for you now. Another conversation with another talented creative here at the B&H Event Space. Catch y'all next time.
Cheers.